2019 marks the 40th anniversary of the first Alien film, and the legacy that followed, but the year also marks significance for the DC Comics character Batman, his first appearance being an astonishing 80 years ago, with the publication of Detective Comics number 27. 2019 is also the 30th anniversary of the Tim Burton-directed, Michael Keaton-starring film simply titled Batman, released on June 23, 1989. Holy happy birthday, Batman. The film is a huge success, a phenomenon really, and it forever changed the face of comic book-inspired films. In the late 80s, Batman proved that a series of comics could translate successfully into a big-budget blockbuster with Tim Burton's film, while with Aliens, Dark Horse Comics proved a big-budget blockbuster like Alien and Aliens could translate successfully into a series of comics. Dark Horse released their Earth War storyline with Aliens Volumes 1 through 3 to high praise, and their crossover featuring the Predator creature also became a huge hit. So surely, in the world of comics, a crossover between Batman and the Aliens was inevitable. Well, the Batman-Aliens brawl eventually did make its way into the pages of a comic story, but it wouldn't be until 1997, right as each film franchise released final entries in each series, before a lengthy dormance. Written by Ron Marz with art by Bernie Wrightson, Batman Aliens saw the Caped Crusader fighting against aliens in the ruins of an ancient Mayan temple, the beasts being the result of a mysterious crashed spacecraft, and also encountering a unique variant of the xenomorph never before seen. The story was released as a miniseries produced by both DC and Dark Horse Comics as 2 issues, though the story is expanded upon in a 2-part prequel comic, Incubation, which was originally published in Dark Horse Presents number 101 and 102, and eventually finding its way as a complete story in Aliens Omnibus Volume 5. The story of Batman Aliens begins in space, on a ship manned by an unknown alien species who have acquired xenomorph specimens, not realizing the dangers of what they've brought with them, resulting in a crash of the ship in a jungle near the Guatemala-Mexico border. At this site, a geologist working for Wayne Tech, Abel Barrett, was surveying copper deposits and discovered the crash. He soon uncovered the horrors that the ship left behind. In his final moments, Barrett spoke into a tape recorder, trying to make sense of what he'd seen. We have no way of knowing where they came from. Normally that'd be such an important question, but now, well, obviously it doesn't matter now. Not much does, really. Funny, I've always looked to the Earth. That's what brought me here in the first place. I never bothered to turn my eyes to the sky and wonder. Didn't much care if there was anyone out there or not. So this happens to me. God has a sense of humor after all. I know at least what they looked like. Not all that different from us, really. I can't even guess at anything more than that. What were they like? Pacifists or warriors? Explorers? I can't tell you. I'm assuming there was an egg. I think it starts with an egg. Sounds so damn innocuous, doesn't it? An egg. I don't believe they knew they had it aboard. I mean, they couldn't have, right? One of them stumbled across it, probably, and didn't know what it was, not until too late anyway. You have to realize that I'm guessing about most of this, trying to piece together from what I've seen here. But even if I've got half of it right, only half, can you imagine what that means? The thing that hatches from the egg, I don't know. I suppose we'd call it an embryo. It doesn't kill you. Better if it did, of course. I was in the ship. I found the thing in there. The husk from the embryo stage. I came down here for soil samples, for dirt, and I end up holding some kind of alien in my hands. They must have thought the embryo was the end of it. Natural assumption. The thing dies once its job is done. He probably believed there was nothing wrong with him. Yeah, well, guess he realized that wasn't the case. I'm not a biologist. I know a lot more about base salt and sediment than I do anything organic. So maybe you want to discount what I'm saying, but I wouldn't if I were you. Even I can deduce what an exit wound from the inside means. The embryo implants another life form within the host. It incubates, like a parasite, and when it matures, it hatches. I feel sorry for them, you know? What must they have thought, finding him with an 8-inch hole blown out of his chest? They suspected something, but anything even close to what was on the ship with them? Not in their darkest nightmares. It occurs to me that they probably went looking for it. Seems like such a pathetic thing to do. I'm sure it found them. I can't tell you what it's like, catching sight of one for the first time. Though, I suppose if you're listening to this, you already know words can't describe. Damn it. I want to see my wife again. I think I'm running out of time. It's hard to concentrate, but you need to know this, as much as I can tell. So what was I... Yes, seeing one, and seeing what it does. Maybe then they began to understand. I'm fairly certain it didn't kill them. Not all of them. Not right away. It took at least one, for breeding stock. It's some sort of species imperative. Everything they are, everything they do, is designed to propagate the race. Not a comforting thought, is it? From what I've seen, it was different this time. An adult already existed. It cocooned the host into a place for the hatching process. I told you what it was like. I did, didn't I? The egg? The embryo? God, he knew what was going to happen to him. He knew. All he could do was wait. And then there were two of them. What was left of the crew tried to hunt them. I imagine, of course. You'd do the same, because you'd want to feel as though you had a chance, that you were doing something to save yourself. Maybe that makes the inevitable easier to accept. I wonder, did he pray? The last of them? I haven't prayed. It hadn't really occurred to me before now. What difference would it make? I don't believe in salvation anymore, the things I've seen. There's nowhere to hide, no place you can go to be safe from them. Such perfect engines of carnage. Cunning, fearless, powerful. There's horrific beauty in what they are. You dare not even wound one, if what I saw in the cockpit is an indication. Everything scored by acid or something like it. A dying reflex, a ruined guidance system. Doesn't matter how the ship found its way here. I don't believe it was intentional, just an accident. That's probably how they spread. Accidents, coincidence, from world to world, like seeds scattered by the wind. And now they're here. We should be thankful, I suppose. What if it had come down in the middle of New York, or London? What kind of massacre would that be? You, listening to me, that's what you have to understand. That's why I'm leaving this. They can't be allowed to spread. You have to make sure this is where it ends. I did what I could, but not enough. It's going to be over very soon for me. Down to my last flare. Survey charges are gone. Not that they did much good. You'll have to do better. Find some way of stopping them. Nothing else matters. Only stopping them. And if you're fortunate enough to survive this madness and get home again, I want you to do something for me. You owe me that, at least. Please, find my wife. Tell her I love her. And tell my little girl. Tell her... "4 days passed after contact was lost with Barrett. Bruce Wayne became aware of his company's geologist going missing, also aware of the wife and daughter left to worry for him. As Bruce Wayne knew this, the Batman knew this. He embarked on a self-described mission of mercy, tracking Barrett down and in the process coming into contact with a horror that would stay with him as vividly as the experience that came to create him. The nights of my life are spent grappling with leering psychotics, criminals whose inner psyches are as scarred and twisted as their outward appearances. In them, I believed I had seen the heart of horror. I've learned I had no concept of horror. The events replay themselves in my mind with an intense clarity I've encountered only once before. The memories of my parents' murder. I cannot forget. It begins. An autopilot plane, programmed to ditch in the Gulf, delivers me to the Mexican-Guatemalan border. I drop lazily toward the teeming green hell below, a verdant shroud concealing dark secrets beneath. I have no understanding of the madness into which I descend. When he landed, Batman realized he was not alone. A covert ops team was nearby, close enough for one of them, Hyatt, to warn Batman of the approaching crocodile. Shots were fired, but Batman made a point to preserve its life, simply tying its jaws shut and sending it on its way. holding no grudge against the creature despite moments before it being out for his blood. Captain Seeley of the ops team didn't want to see the dangerous animal let loose and attempted to shoot it, much to Batman's objection. The croc was only following its nature. It never kills, just for pleasure. I don't know who you are or why you're here, but I have a job to do, and I won't have you in the way. So you're leaving. This was met with laughter from Captain Seeley. I think maybe you must be confused. Only mission round here is the one we're on. Government sort of thing. You're in the middle of a restricted area, military law imposed, so when you think about it, you're doing the leaving. One way or the other. You're in the wrong place, man. You're out of your element. People who point guns at me come to regret it. Hyatt called for the two to stand back, becoming the voice of reason in this situation, requesting a truce of sorts. Look, like it or not, we're stuck with each other. Our team's on a covert op. We don't allow civilians to know about missions like this, much less stumble into the middle of them. Protocol says neutralize you, but circumstances being what they are, we could use the extra body. Our target site's northeast. So's mine. Seems like we'd just be getting in each other's way then, wouldn't we? My name's Hyatt. You're just who you think I am. All right, Batman? Do we have a working relationship? You ask as if there's any real choice. I'll allow you to accompany me, as long as you stay out of my way. I think we can live with that arrangement. Might as well get to know the rest. This is the dead man's hand, government special forces. Exactly who we work for isn't your concern. That's Page, Gantry, Vanderpool, call him Van, and you've already had the pleasure of meeting Captain Seeley. We were sent here to find something, but recon and intel went to sleep on us. We shoot it in blind and hit the swamp. All our gear, radio equipment, most of our weapons, ammo, rations sank before we could get to it. What about you? Your gear come down somewhere around here? I'm carrying everything I need. Seeley cut the conversation short. Right, social time's over. We got at least 5 clicks to cover through heavy jungle, and we're losing light. Let's move. During their trek through the jungle, tensions continued to rise between Batman and Seeley. The two were at odds, and even engaged in a physical confrontation, when it was interrupted by a sight that shocked the group. Something they'd never seen before. Massive. Foreign. Whatever it was, it came from space, crashed into the site of the Mayan ruins. Hyatt expressed her shock. It's here. An honest-to-goodness spacecraft. Or what's left of one. Not one of ours, Seeley. Not Russian either. And nobody else has detected to get something like this into orbit. Doesn't leave too many other options. It's got to be the real deal. It's from out there. Damn. An alien spaceship and Batman. All in the same day, mused Seeley. They investigated the craft, Seeley calling on his team to stay sharp. Okay, boys and girls, let's have us a little look around and see if anybody's home. Page with me. Van and Gantry that way. Hyatt, you and your boyfriend up there. If anybody finds anything, yell. Rendezvous back here in 15. See something you don't like? Shoot it. I heard that, agreed Van. Batman and Hyatt walked the corridors silently, despite Hyatt's attempt at some small talk. Batman observed a mark, a burn, some evidence of a struggle or accident on board the ship. A gunshot and a scream sounded from further within the craft. The shot and the scream came from Vanderpool. The rest rushed to his aid, seeing that he and Gantry had discovered one of the ship's inhabitants. It was an alien, bound by some sort of secreted resin, an empty, opened egg in front of it. A hole in its chest, and a fresh new one in its head, courtesy of Van, who was still startled by the discovery. Aw, jeez, man. It's real. It's real, and it ain't human. The head's all wrong. Gantry, also shaken from their findings, began to pray. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Amidst the calls to God and Van's panic, Seeley called for an explanation, as Batman examined the aftermath of the xenomorph birth. Eventually, Seeley looked to the world's greatest detective for some kind of theory. So, what killed the little guy? And what's that gunk he's all strung up with? I'm not sure just yet. We need to search the rest of the ship, collect more evidence. Maybe then I can give you a theory. Thanks, that's really enlightening. Search the rest of the ship. I wouldn't have thought of that myself. Alright, we fine-tooth this place. Same pairs as before. Find everything that's here. And Van, don't shoot something unless it's alive. Meet me back at the hull breach and... An interruption from Batman. Seeley, I do think we should be careful. 4 more alien bodies would be found before the search was over. Gathered by a fire outside the ruins to survey their conditions, Page was startled by one of the indigenous primates firing his weapon at the howling creature, much to Hyatt's dismay. Good idea, Page. Most of our ammo ended up at the bottom of the swamp, so why not waste what little we have left? Can't stand those things. All that howling gives me the creeps. We're camped next to a downed spaceship, inside of which we find 5 alien bodies. 2 with their chests exploded, and you get freaked out by monkeys. You're one of a kind, Page. Truly. I'm gonna find that thing and kill it. You do that, Great White Hunter. Put that gun to use. Idiot, Seeley sighed. Hyatt turned to Batman, curious of his plight. How about you? You really get by with just your fists, like they say? Why don't you carry a gun? Memories of his parents' murder weighed heavy. He answered, simply, I have my reasons. He turned the opposite end of the question over to Hyatt. What about you? Why do you carry a gun? You're asking why I do this? Ambition. I'm the first and only woman on any U.S. covert ops team. I do it because it's the sort of thing that gets you noticed, moves you up the ladder. I'm going to be a woman with power someday. I wanted that ever since I was a little girl. I'll do whatever it takes to get me there. I guess we all have our own little obsessions, don't we? Howls, yells, and gunfire heard from the distance informed the group that Page's foolish errand may have gotten him in trouble. Running to his aid, a trail of blood was found, leading into the ruins. Blood, Batman observed. More than likely human. More than likely Page's. His gun's over there in the undergrowth. I have to assume he was carried away, because his tracks were joined by something else, like nothing I've ever encountered before. The group traveled into the ruins, finding not Page, but the body of Abel Barrett, Wayne Tech's geologist. It was apparent he suffered the same fate as the small alien beings they discovered earlier. It was apparent there was a threat among them. Batman and Healy continued to discuss over what exactly this mysterious threat was, whilst Hyatt discovered something of note, keeping it to herself. Barrett's tape recorder, containing his final words and observances of the xenomorph. Deeper into the ruins, the group cautiously searched for any signs of Page. It had been some time since his disappearance, and they seemed to be no closer to finding him. Then a weak voice called Vanderpool's name. It was Page, bound like the others, and struggling to speak. They came out of those things, like you can't imagine. Teeth and teeth. The things didn't kill me. They didn't. They put me here and brought that egg. Opened just like a flower. Hands on me. On my face. Down my throat. I can feel it moving. Noticing the hatched egg nearby, it was evident to Batman that Page had been victim to the facehugger embryo implantation, just like the others, and it was very likely he was now carrying the deadly parasite inside of him. Batman was determined to help Page and prevent the inevitable birthing of the monster, convinced he could remove it somehow. But Captain Healy had other, more practical plans, delivering a headshot to Page and putting him out of his misery. Had to be done, he announced. "Murderer!" Batman shouted as he lunged for Seeley, grabbing his throat. He was dead already, Healy reasoned, as Gantry and Van tried to hold the bat back, and Hyatt tried to calm everyone down. "Stop it, both of you. What's done is done. We've got enough problems without fighting each other." Batman stared Seeley down. "You killed that man, in cold blood, Seeley." "Not the first time," Seeley said. "Page was a casualty the minute that thing got inside him. I know it, and so do you. I'm just the one who admitted it. I said we'd take care of our own. What that means now is we save ourselves. We're getting out of here, and we'll do it faster without carrying baggage like Page. You don't need to be a detective to figure something's down here with us. I want to be gone before it finds us. A tail came down and grabbed Seeley. Hissing aliens loomed over the captain as he frantically fired his weapon, until gaining composure and firing straight into the mouth of one of the beasts. A mistake. The acid blood erupted from the wound, burning Seeley's face. Panic and confusion hit the group. What the hell? Oh God, what are they? Seeley's down. Somebody get to him. Back to back. Don't panic. No crossfires. Batman restrained one of the creatures as it approached Hyatt, pulling it away with a batarang, though the Dark Knight's strength could not hold it back for too long. Gantry, having fired wildly and without conservation, stared into the hissing alien as his weapon made its last desperate clicks, and Gantry made his last desperate prayers before the hideous creature sent him to meet his maker. Van meanwhile steadied his fire, but he could not bring down the xenomorph before him, catching acid spray in his arm, just as the Dark Knight flew in to take it on face to face, even holding off the attack of the alien's inner jaw, grabbing it with both hands. Seeley, weakened and burned, got the attention of the horde of aliens with gunfire and taunts, leading them to advance upon him as he pulled out a grenade. As the rest fled, Seeley set it off, taking one of the bastards with him. Batman, Hyatt, and Vanderpool remained, surviving the debris caused by the blast. They took a moment to assess their current situation. "Hyatt, how bad off are we, huh?" asked Van. "You're asking me to find a silver lining, Van? Take a look around. Seeley and Gantry are dead. Seeley snuffed one of those things, but the other two are still out there somewhere. The explosion sealed off the corridor, so at least they can't get in here with us. For now," interjected the Bat. "Our supplies are nil, and Vanderpool is going to need more complete medical attention than I can give. Those creatures have been in the ruin complex for days, at the very minimum. They don't appear to be intelligent in any conventional sense of the term, but they're cunning. They've had time to familiarize themselves with the passageways. It's only a matter of time before they find a way to get to us." During this time, the crocodile that Batman spared from the gunfire of the ops team had released itself from the rope binding its mouth closed and swam closer to the complex. A journey to the shore nearby led to the discovery of another egg from the doomed alien ship. It had not been opened, not until a host had approached it. The large reptile moved in for a closer look. In the darkness, for a moment, just a brief moment, Batman had fallen asleep. The dream was always the same. His parents, the theater, the alleyway, the shots fired from a desperate criminal that took away Bruce Wayne's parents forever and led him to live a life of fighting crime and preventing further heartbreak such as his own. But it was different this time. The film they went to see, it was Zorro, the masked, swashbuckling Avenger. The memory was clear. Although in his mind's eye he could see the marquee, now a science fiction feature, an alien film. It came from beyond space. The film had frightened the child. He didn't want to go to the alleyway. Even watching himself, as a child, he knew what was waiting. But not this time. No mugger, no gunshots, but a figure lashed onto his father's face. He let out gasping, muffled screams before he fell unconscious. Little Bruce called to his mother for help, but he could see her clutching at her chest, moaning in agony. The creature inside, bursting out of her chest with a force that set the pearls of her necklace falling to the ground along with blood that spilled with it. He knelt at his parents' side, victims to the alien monster. In the dream he could hear Barrett's tape, his final pleading words on the dangers of what he's found. The boy looked at his bloody hands. He was grown now. His hands were gloved. He was donned in the cape and cowl of the Batman. One was inside of him. It struggled and made its way to rip out of him. Batman shot into waking life with a startle. A fire relit the area. His companions noticed the temporary loss of composure, Hyatt especially, putting away the tape she had been listening to, that had crept into the Bat's subconscious. "You're human after all." "Sorry?" "You're human after all. You slept. Bad dreams?" "No," he replied. "No more time for sleep. No more time for waiting." The situation was desperate, and Vanderpool was not very optimistic about their chances. They spoke of the possibility of survival. "Well, if you got any ideas," said Vanderpool, lighting a cigarette, "I'm all for hearing them. Not like we got a real bright outlook here. Seeley and Gantry are croaked, we got zip supplies, we're trapped because of the cave-in behind us, and my arm's all screwed up. I mean, those things are out there, man, and we hardly got any firepower. That's right, ain't it, Hyatt? More or less. We've got your rifle, Van, and whatever clips you've got left. There are a couple of magazines for my automatic and my .45. That's it. Never thought I'd buy it. Getting my face eaten off by some freaking space bug. Catch a bullet, whatever, yeah, but not this. Batman held some more optimism. There's always a way, Vanderpool. Don't lose hope. Cripes, who are you? Little Mary Sunshine. Don't you get it? There could be dozens of those things down here. Evidence suggests there are only 2 of them. If what I've deduced is correct, obviously they came to Earth via the doomed spacecraft we found. I believe I've pieced together its life cycle. It hatches from an egg, implanting an embryo in a living host. A fetus then hatches from the host, and apparently the fetus grows into an adult with alarming speed. Inside the ship we found 5 humanoid aliens, all dead, 2 with chest burst. Open eggs nearby in both cases. Within these ruins we found Barrett, the geologist. His chest also burst. There was an open egg next to him. The 4th embryo never hatched because Seeley murdered its host, Paige, whose body was then crushed in the cave-in. We've seen no other eggs, no other hosts. The logical conclusion is there were 3 adult aliens. One was destroyed by Seeley, leaving only 2 specimens. Batman, with about as much insight into the animal that bears his namesake as one may expect, noticed the bats within the ruins. They're flying deeper into the complex. They've been with us since we entered the ruins, even before the cave-in. They must be headed toward another surface access, another exit. This way. Torch-equipped, Batman led his fellow survivors deeper into the structure, discovering ancient Mayan hieroglyphics. They describe a secret place of religious importance, a cavern or grotto. There's some kind of sacrificial area, something about fire. I can't make out. From the darkness, the alien stalker emerged, frightening Vanderpool stiff, unable to fire upon it. Batman warded the beast off with his torch and held it back as Hyatt attempted to take it down, while the other specimen made its appearance from above, entangling her with its tail. Ordering Van to stand clear and freeing Hyatt from the alien's grasp, Batman, equipped with his own grenade, managed to destroy one of the aliens as he and Hyatt took cover. The collapse of one of the ancient statues staved back the other, but not killing it, only separating it from the entrance of the temple and their survivors now inside. With no time to spare, Batman urged the group to move forward. Let's go. If I interpreted the hieroglyphics correctly, the room we just left was a preparation area for sacrificial ceremonies. We should be getting close to our way out. I'll destroy the remaining alien once I've gotten you to safety. Something this deadly can't be allowed to escape, or fall into the wrong hands. It might be best to level the whole site with an airstrike. Vanderpool was very agreeable to this notion, though Hyatt had no opinion to voice on the matter. They were getting close. Their path led to an exit leading out of the stone giant Mayan's head, across a subterranean waterfall to a massive set of stairs, with steps leading, as the flight of the bat suggested, to a way out, a stairway to salvation. Batman left the pair behind to secure a line to the exit, climbing, swimming, and swinging to ensure a safe path for the surviving humans. Vanderpool, weakened from his injuries, found himself to be in a sunny disposition as he waited. This is sweet, Hyatt. An hour ago, I really thought we were dead. All of us, even him. But we're gonna make it. Think we'll get decorated for this? Uh-huh. That's usually what they do when you lose 3/5 of your squad and come back empty-handed. I see big medals, Van. Big ones. The sarcasm not lost on Vanderpool, he continued nonetheless. Well, I'm just happy to be alive. Those things, they're just killing machines, is what they are. Turn some of them loose in Baghdad, or Havana maybe? Wouldn't need grunts like us anymore. Man, I can't think of a worse way to go, having one of those bugs get at you. All the teeth and claws and speed. I saw, I got a good look at Gantry when it was done with him. His face was like... Van, don't move, Hyatt whispered, shocked at the sight behind him. The remaining specimen had tracked down its prey. It grabbed Vanderpool. He writhed in its clutches, pleading for Hyatt to take a shot. Hyatt aimed her weapon, upwards, away from Van and the alien, firing above her and letting the monster take him. Batman, having heard the gunshots, raced back to his fellow survivors, finding Hyatt alone, who informed him of Vanderpool's fate. Batman inquired of the possibility of Vanderpool being alive, which Hyatt denied. She also claimed that her shots had killed the alien in the process. "I'm a soldier. I know what dead is. I swear. Both of them. I swear," she said. "All right, we'll go. I need to know if you can climb." The two made it to the top of the steps leading to the exit above them, bats still flying through the caverns, leading the way out. We're standing on a capped lava tube. It might even still be active under the crust. The altar was used for blood sacrifices. I'm certain the hole in the cavern ceiling leads to the surface. He threw up the batarang, securing the line for the upcoming climb. At some point, it was probably a vent for the lava flow. Secure. You first, then I'll. A strike of Hyatt's weapon took Batman to the back of the head. He tumbled down the ancient stairway, falling to the ground by the water. Hyatt made her way down, meeting Batman with the .45 aimed directly at his face. He looked up to Hyatt, beginning to piece together the treachery. "You killed Van, didn't you?" "Not exactly. I just didn't go out of my way to save him. Another obstacle cleared from my path, just like you." "Why?" "This." She pulled out the tape recorder and began playing Barrett's words for Batman. At least this time, he would be awake to appreciate it. "I picked it up next to your dead geologist. It's all here. Everything the aliens are. Everything they could be. Bioweapons, Batman. The future of warfare. Just point them in the right direction and turn them loose. Once I realized what we'd stumbled into, the rest of the team became expendable. You too, now that you've provided me with a means of escape. We'll come back with reinforcements, capture the live one. There are rewards for delivering this kind of weapon for the people I work for. You have no idea how far this will take me. Your ambition was worth this price? You can't control these things. Trying to put them in anyone's hands is lunacy." Hyatt was unfazed by Batman's pleas for reason. "Yeah, thanks for the advice, but you'll forgive me if I ignore it." She steadied her weapon and prepared to snuff out the bat, but swiftly and without warning came an interruption. From the water and onto the shore of the stone staircase ascent emerged the result of the crocodile's embryo implantation. A giant, vicious specimen, born from the aggressive semi-aquatic creature, quickly advanced upon them. It effortlessly grabbed Hyatt as the precious audio tape fell from her hands, the gun still equipped, struggling to aim at a potential weak spot. Batman tried to pull her away from the grasp of the massive alien, but to no avail. Firing wildly, Hyatt proclaimed her plight to survive. "Not going to stop me. Not..." Opening its jaws, the alien shot out an equally giant second set, piercing through Hyatt's torso, nearly ripping her in half, but instead leaving a perfect bloody hole intact, tossing aside the female soldier like an old rag doll, leaving her in a pool of her own blood. A lifetime of aspirations unfulfilled, a specimen that could not be controlled, a lesson learned much too late. Batman, clutching Barrett's tape recorder, dodged the advances of the beast which now turned its fury towards him. He searched for a weapon. Scattered about were ancient swords and spears left behind from the ancient civilization held by its statues, now used by the Dark Knight in a standoff against the perfect organism, in a form more vicious than believed possible. Holding back as long as he could, he made his way to the top of the stairs. He swung the serrated sword at the creature, a good, clean swipe, spilling its acidic blood, but it barely flinched. The acid, burning through the stone, revealed the lava underneath. The solution and key to victory dawned upon Batman. Make it bleed. It moved in for the kill, but the bat endured, avoiding the same gruesome death that befell Hyatt. He grabbed the spear, puncturing the beast through the chest, right at its heart, if it did indeed have one. The earth-shaking roar of the wounded alien indicated that, at the very least, it felt pain, and it continued to bleed. It bled enough to burn through the altar further, stone crumbling and falling into the lava below. This was his chance. He grabbed at the rope leading to the opening, hanging from above as the stone from beneath gave way, submerging the alien into the sacrificial pit of lava. Roaring and screeching and flailing within the pool of death, the alien was subdued, sinking and burning within its grave. Batman looked down to confirm. The beast was dead and gone. Without even a moment to process this, a tail from the cave ceiling above flung out from the darkness and snagged at Batman's neck, choking him. The final specimen. It brought Batman in closer, snapping its jaws at the exhausted hero who could just barely avoid the attacks. Then, old friends from the pitch of black appeared. A colony of bats, hissing and swooping out of the opening, gave enough of a distraction to the alien to allow Batman to harness it with a separate rope dangling below. Severed by the alien's own blind urge to attack, the rest of the rope, and the alien along with it, fell into the lava, assisted by a final kick from Batman. Along with his winged brethren, Batman climbed to the surface. The remaining xenomorph specimens were destroyed. The blood sacrifices had been offered, and accepted graciously. It ends, with dawn chasing the darkness, like a parent's touch, banishing a child's nightmares. It rose in the light. It seems nearly possible that all the death and madness had only been a nightmare, an imagined horror. But I know. The spacecraft I destroyed, putting it to the torch and waiting for its fuel, whatever it might have been, to combust into a bright second dawn. The explosion obliterated the ship, the bodies, the entire ruined complex, everything. Such a waste. So much could have been learned from the ship. But how long could I have kept something so massive from the Shadow Men? No. Let the ones who sent Hyatt and Seeley and the others wonder what happened. They'll never stitch together anything close to the truth. In 2 days I made my way through the jungle to the coast, to a fishing village in Belize. From there I contacted Alfred and arranged for a pickup in Belize City. 7 hours later I was back in Gotham. Home. I am left to contemplate the ordeal. Perfect engines of carnage, Barrett called them. But evil? No. The aliens are simply what they are, like a shark or the crocodile. Yet I did confront evil in the labyrinth beneath the ruins, the same evil I confront each night in Gotham's canyons. Greed, lust for power, disregard for life, human evil. Barrett was right. Destroying them was the only option. The alien physiology is far too dangerous for anyone to possess. But not because of what they are. Because of what we are. Reflecting on his experiences, intent on delivering Barrett's final message to his family, Batman throws all remaining evidence of the xenomorph into the depths of the Batcave, leaving the possibility of weaponization far behind. As a joint venture between DC and Dark Horse, Batman Aliens is a crossover that stays true to many elements of each franchise, and was ultimately a successful blend of the two, stickling for continuity aside. This was of course not the first, or only, Aliens crossover with DC, however. Superman Aliens preceded this story, and the Aliens would also face off against Green Lantern, not to mention the Batman Aliens sequel, released in 2003. But there was something special about this one. The moods of both worlds and tones fit together pretty perfectly, with the depiction of Batman being very faithful to the traits we know about him as a hero, and being very faithful to the concept that the aliens is a threat and mysterious organism. It was a compelling story, as I hope you'd agree with me on, and I hope if it's not too late, they should go for a part 3, and cap it off as the Batman Aliens trilogy. But maybe there are other crossovers worth exploring before that. Comic book publisher allegiance aside, is there a superhero or other comic book character you'd like to see also get a crossover with aliens? Marvel, DC, whoever. Who do you think would put up a good fight? Comment below and share your thoughts. As always, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like. And you can also subscribe for all the latest videos from the channel. A very, very special thanks goes out to WEYLAND YUTANI executives, EmYarUk, and Lady Am, part of the Patreon Hive. If you'd like to join the Hive and support the channel, check out my Patreon page for exclusive posts and contests. In the meantime, you can catch up with Alien Theory over social media. Follow @alien_theory on Twitter and @alientheoryyt on Facebook and Instagram for more. Stay tuned for more videos, same bat time, same bat channel. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.